I had woke up quite early, as I usually did on the weekends, to go out browsing yard sales and local flea markets, looking for good deals on used Nintendo cartridges, as one would expect to find. But let me explain why, though. Lately, after receiving around 20 miscellaneous titles and the Nintendo system, I began playing through them. That's when my curiosity began to grow deeper for these nostalgic items. Never had I experienced something that gave me such a great feeling of accomplishment when completed. The list was, of course, as everyone would expect: Mario Duck Hunt cartridge combination, Ice Climbers, Metroid, Contra, and a few others that I can't quite remember as well. Many of you may ask, why do you remember these if you didn't have a feeling of accomplishment when they were first brought out? I remember these because of watching over at my cousin's house, but never getting to play. I should clarify, I grew up in poverty, well off of others, of course, but not well enough to afford these items that were considered a luxury at the time. Instead, I used to finish my studies and work that was assigned, complete daily chores, and then walk over to my cousin's house to watch him play these titles. I had always found these games fascinating and wanted to play them. If I had known the outcome was going to be as bad as it is now, I never would have accepted this system. I soon became infatuated with finding more of these cartridges and playing them, forgetting about my job, girlfriend, even my daughter. All I could think of was playing these over and over, pretending to be a so-called expert. Soon it seemed like this had become a curse. One night I was playing through The Legend of Zelda, and had paused it long enough to take a restroom break, and decided to check my messages. After done with the restroom, forgetting to even wash my hands, I had grown not to care about my hygiene these days, as I never left my small apartment. The landlord had come by several times and asked if everything was okay. I quickly dismissed her, lying that I had been waiting for unemployment and been looking for a new job since I had been fired, telling another lie to her after she asked why. I had been fired, simply telling her that they had to downsize and I lost my job. I felt bad for lying to the kind old lady. She had never had a harsh word to say to anyone, and always handled her unruly tenants with overwhelming kindness. I knew that the unemployment wasn't coming due to being fired over not showing up for work and having no excuse as to why. When my manager had called asking for a validation of the claim that I had broken my hand, I couldn't come to work for quite some time, replying back in a rude manner, which may have cost me my job, which I never really cared about, and felt relieved when told not to show up, or I was being let go for failure to appear, and I promptly replied, "Is this some kind of fucking court? You're a grocery outlet, not a justice system. Piss off." After those conversations, I had checked my messages on my phone, several from my now ex-girlfriend. The last one reading, "You've become oblivious to the world since obtaining that child system. I have sent you several messages over the past 6 weeks, been to your apartment 8 times, beating furiously on the door. Your landlady let me in the last time. I had seen you, and horrible would be an understatement for how you looked. That's not how someone is supposed to live. I shook your shoulders and even yelled loudly at you, which you only replied, 'Leave me alone.' As if no one was there, you just played that stupid game over and over. As I stood there watching for a little over 2 hours, not once did you move from the spot you sat in. I love you, but I can't handle this anymore. I'm leaving you." That was her last message to me as I stood there, looking at the phone. I ignored it and just thought of it as more time to spend with these wonderful games, getting lost in the world I had created. As I now traveled the road looking for yard and garage sales, trying to pick up on good deals, I came across what looked like to be a new home, and a man sitting with a table outside with various items, but what caught my attention was a stack of Nintendo cartridges stacked up on the side of the table. I pulled over and parked at the curb, got out, and she exchanged greetings and talked about life, and soon the conversation went to the Nintendo cartridges and how he obtained so many. He explained that he had acquired them throughout his childhood by buying them with allowances received and working odd jobs throughout his neighborhood. He warned me before looking through them not to get too overly invested, that they would suck the very life right out of you. But at this point, I only made small talk to get a better deal. I could have given two shits less about what his life was like and so on. I just knew I wanted all of those, and was willing to do most anything that you would consider dirty and underhanded to get what I want. After around 5 minutes of looking through the cartridges, I came across a game I had never seen before. And knowing if I didn't catch my excitement, I would have opened my mouth before using my mind, which is the tendency that I had become accustomed to. Finally, catching my composure, I turned to him and asked him how much he wanted for the lot of cartridges. Shocked, he replied, The whole lot? I shook my head, and he soon gave me a very generous price, as he told me that since they would just be collecting dust and his wife didn't want them around anymore, he would rather see them go to someone who could appreciate the value. Upon hearing the price he gave me, I gladly accepted before he could change his mind, and handed over the $20 in my pocket, collecting a lot of cartridges and quickly rushing back home. As I arrived back home and collected the box of my newly acquired items, my mind kept going to that one cartridge with its weird label. I had often looked online and knew that this wasn't one of the official licensed products, or unlicensed copy made by a company such as Tengen, who often mass-produced unlicensed cartridges, but the cases were always appealing. Even a Christian company produced unlicensed product. I'm aware of hackers and anyone with knowledge to program these games could even make their own cartridges, but what puzzled me was this game was not on the list, or in the unlicensed section, but was still endorsed by the Nintendo Corporation. Upon loading it up, and even seeing the screen displaying the trademark logo. But what was different about this one? In big bold letters at the title screen, Nintendo proudly presents. As the screen faded and another screen followed, displaying a colorful title, Mario's Nightmare. I laughed, brushing this off as some stupid hacker's attempt at recreating a creepypasta story, as I pressed start, letting the curiosity get the better of me, already with a cocky expression, sitting there, knowing that this would be something cliché and outdated. I soon became lightheaded. Quickly debunked this as eating nothing but junk food for the past 3 weeks. That was likely the main cause, not drinking enough fluids. As I began to play, this didn't play like a game I was used to playing on this system. This was something that was strange, that kept me playing. I wanted to turn the system off, but couldn't. Like my mind was fighting within itself. Both my hands would not leave the controller, and I kept running through the stages as I began to vomit, spewing on my lap from looking at the images on the television, now covered in the smell, making me want to vomit again. As the screen flashed, and an image appeared on the screen with my name on it. It went through the list of things I had done. The screen flashed again, and it had given me directions to write this down before I go do this one final thing that for some reason I cannot help but feel I have to do. And I think you people have the right to know. I'm going to burn this house down, and then go drown myself as per instructions I was given. If anyone sees this and try to stop me, don't, or I'll be forced to mutilate you in the worst way possible. Something wants this done, and I have no way to fight back against it.